A tiny miscalculation is all it takes for everything to start coming apart. 3:47 a.m. In the Strait of Hormuz, the IRGC tears through the darkness at 28 knots. Their formation is tight. Radar screens sweep non-stop, and commanders trade hushed messages over encrypted radios. They're certain the setup is flawless. But in just 94 seconds, the entire situation is about to turn upside down. One small inconsistency in the data begins pulling the whole operation off balance. 3:48 a.m. On the tense chessboard of the Middle East, the U.S. Navy's wall of steel continues its constant watch over the Strait of Hormuz. Radar systems aboard Arleigh Burke-class destroyers scan the horizon with razor-sharp accuracy, while F/A-18S wait on the catapults, ready at a moment's notice. But the real advantage is unfolding far above, at 30,000 feet. Enter the EC-130H Compass Call, a Lockheed Martin icon and one of the Air Force's premier electronic warfare platforms. This aircraft doesn't rely on traditional payloads. Its power is disruption. Its specialty is shutting down enemy command and control systems before they have time to react. 3:49 a.m. Inside the Compass Call, the cockpit suddenly floods with urgent data. An Iranian early warning radar site along the coast has just lit up, blasting a hard confrontational signal into the spectrum, the kind of move shaped by decades of battlefield instinct. The American crew responds instantly, pushing their jamming systems to full strength, ready to crush the signal under overwhelming electronic pressure. But instead, they've walked straight into a digital trap. Then it hits. No flames, no debris, just a powerful electromagnetic surge from IRGC mobile transmitters concealed along the rugged shoreline. It's a carefully calibrated pulse, built to overwhelm the EC-130's highly sensitive wideband receivers. In an instant, vast amounts of advanced electronics are knocked offline. The aircraft that came to dominate the spectrum is suddenly the one left in the dark. The sky's master of disruption is forced to pull away from the combat zone, its displays fading into an unnerving black void. Inside Iranian command bunkers, the mood erupts. Celebrations break out. To them, it looks like they've just pushed the world's biggest military power off the board. They believe the U.S. fleet is now operating blind. It's almost unbelievable. They act as if they've already sealed the outcome, like someone smashed the neighbor's Wi-Fi router and declared total victory. 3:52 a.m. Their fast attack boats surge forward at 28 knots, racing deeper into the darkness. They're convinced the American shield has cracked. But they've forgotten a basic rule of the wild. When you take away a lion's old toy, it reaches for something far more formidable. So when the enemy is convinced the game is over, what does the American response look like? You're about to see. 4:02 a.m. Even as the electromagnetic haze from the ambush over the strait still lingers, the U.S. response is already in motion, fast, precise, and carefully coordinated. From the secure runways of Al Udeid in Qatar, a Boeing RC-135V/W rivet joint lifts quietly into the night sky. It is one of the most formidable signals intelligence aircraft in the world, and it does not need conventional weapons to do its job. Its real strength lies in an array of highly sensitive antennas and a crew of elite specialists trained to decode, track, and unravel every electronic move the other side makes. Its mission is simple in concept and devastating in effect. Expose the full structure of Iran's defensive network. Every time an IRGC radar operator, energized by the apparent success against the older EC-130, sweeps the horizon to verify that the Americans are still in the dark, the rivet joint is already listening. It does not merely detect the signal, it dissects it. In moments, it captures the exact frequency, the pulse pattern, and the precise location of the transmitter. Picture it this way. While IRGC commanders are still in their bunkers, celebrating like they have already secured a historic win, the RC-135 is quietly observing everything from above with complete focus. It is not just following the action, it is building a detailed map of the entire Iranian radar network with extraordinary clarity. Hidden surface-to-air missile positions, mobile launch systems, and supporting sensors are all being logged in real time. The IRGC believes it gained momentum by sidelining an aging platform, but in reality it has just revealed far more than it intended. What looks like a breakthrough is actually opening the door for a much deeper level of American awareness. They are announcing success before the real contest has even unfolded, unaware that the foundation of their defensive system is already being studied piece by piece. In the world of information dominance, the advantage belongs to the side that controls the data. And at this moment, the United States is learning far more than Iran realizes while the celebrations are still underway. 4:15 a.m. What the IRGC does not understand is that this was never an improvised exchange. They have been moving through a sequence that had already been anticipated well in advance. For the previous 21 days, the Americans had not been inactive. Two EA-37B Compass Call aircraft, the newest and most advanced evolution of airborne electronic warfare, had been sitting inside hardened hangars at Al Udeid under the cover of routine systems testing. These are not the older, slower, prop-driven EC-130s. Built on the sleek, high-speed Gulfstream G550 airframe, the EA-37B represents the next level of control in the electromagnetic spectrum. It is faster, it climbs higher, and its ability to shut down an enemy's electronic picture is generations ahead of anything most of the world has ever encountered. It had been waiting for the exact moment to come online. The instant the RC-135 delivers its high-resolution target picture, the two EA-37Bs surge off the runway, their engines thundering into the night. At the same time, from the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln, a formation of EA-18G Growlers is launched into the darkness by steam catapults to join the operation. What follows is a perfectly synchronized storm of electronic pressure. The effect is immediate and overwhelming. As the American package moves into the engagement zone, Iran's S-300, S-400, and indigenous Bavar 373 systems, the centerpiece of its air defense network, begin dropping out almost at once. On the Iranian side, radar displays do not merely flicker, they collapse into a chaotic wall of static. It is like trying to watch a crystal-clear movie on an antique television that has lost its signal in the middle of a storm. No tracks, no targeting picture, no reliable data, only a blizzard of interference. In that moment, the entire defensive network is effectively in the dark. The IRGC believed it had built the perfect trap, convinced it had disabled a key American platform. But the EA-37B is not just a replacement for the older EC-130H. It belongs to an entirely different era. It makes the previous generation look ancient by comparison. Iran did not just come up short. It unintentionally handed the United States the perfect chance to bring its most advanced upgrade into the fight. The mission has now shifted from simply managing the situation to systematically erasing the opponent's advantage. The IRGC thought it had broken the old tools, but instead it forced the US to reveal a capability it was nowhere near ready to face. 4:30 a.m. Just as Washington begins to think it has turned the Strait of Hormuz into a silent electronic blackout zone, the IRGC shows it is far more adaptable than expected. With cold precision, it pivots. From concealed coastal bunkers, it activates some of the most serious systems in its arsenal, the Gadia and JY-27, low-frequency passive radars built not to shout into the sky, but to listen for the faintest signs of aircraft moving through it. At the same time, the Russian-made Krasuka-4 comes online, a massive truck-mounted electronic warfare system designed to disrupt the sensors of highly advanced aircraft and satellites. The IRGC does not stop there. It fills the sky with a wave of Shahed 136 one-way attack drones to serve as digital decoys, while anti-radiation missiles are launched from mobile positions hidden among the jagged cliffs. The battle has now become a high-pressure countdown. Inside the cockpit of an EA-18G Growler from the USS Abraham Lincoln, the pilot suddenly sees everything turn urgent. The lock-on alert begins screaming. An Iranian surface-to-air missile has found the aircraft, and impact is less than 40 seconds away. The pilot snaps the stick hard, throwing the Growler into a brutal high-G defensive break. The jet strains under the pressure, but in that instant of violent maneuvering, the jamming coverage wavers. For a few pulse-pounding seconds, the American shield flickers. Part of the Iranian radar grid suddenly regains visibility, lighting up the U.S. strike package like a spotlight, cutting through a dark room. Inside IRGC bunkers, cheers break out. Radio intercepts capture excited voices, declaring that they have finally cracked the American machine. For a brief moment, the targeting chain is disrupted. The balance seems to shift in an instant and the entire world appears to pause. But the window is smaller than they think. Iran believes it has exposed a serious weakness. In reality, it has only brushed against the outer edge of something much larger. 4:42 a.m. Sensing the Growler's brief vulnerability, the IRGC pushes for what it believes will be the decisive move. The Krasuka-4 transmitters are driven to maximum output, pouring a dense wall of electronic interference into the battlespace in an effort to overwhelm American sensors. A second wave of surface-to-air missiles is launched, and the Shahed drone swarm is redirected toward the fleet's projected position. From the Iranian side, victory looks only seconds away. It is not. This is the moment when the full scale of American multi-domain coordination comes into focus. High above the fight, the RC-135 rivet joint, which has been quietly recording every Iranian frequency and emission, begins feeding a real-time, unbroken stream of data through the fleet's network. In the same instant, the EA-37B compass call shifts its electronically scanned pods into a far more aggressive mode. It is no longer simply blanketing the spectrum with noise. It is now concentrating that power into a focused electronic beam, cutting through the Krasuka 4's interference with remarkable precision. Inside the Growler, the pilot steadies the aircraft. A solid weapons cue flashes across the helmet-mounted display. He presses the firing control, and two AGM-88 HARM missiles leap away, accelerating toward the source of the Iranian emissions at high speed. At almost the same moment, another layer of the operation appears. F-35C Lightning IIs move in from a separate vector, releasing ADM-160M ALD decoys that pull Iranian missiles toward false targets, while their AESA radars help refine the engagement with exceptional accuracy. In less than 2 minutes, the entire momentum of the clash is reversed. The Krasuka 4 is taken out of the fight. The Ghadir radar systems lose visibility again, and the Shahed swarm is drawn away and dealt with. Then the pressure returns in full. The electronic assault from the EA-37Bs and the Growlers surges back with even greater intensity, dropping the Iranian network into complete darkness once more. The IRGC's carefully prepared trap does not just come up short. It gives the United States exactly the opening it needed to bring the EA-37B into action early and disable some of Iran's most valuable systems in one tightly coordinated response. It is the ultimate reversal. They handed over the target list, and the U.S. answered by wiping the board clean. 5 a.m. The electromagnetic storm above the Strait of Hormuz finally begins to fade, and what follows is a silence far more unsettling for the IRGC than any blast could ever be. Iran's once vaunted air defense network, from the S-300s and S-400s to the showcase Bavar 373, has been reduced to the digital equivalent of locked, lifeless hardware. The trap they believed would change everything did not just fall short. It came back on them with overwhelming consequences. The American force they thought they had blinded was never truly vulnerable. It was a digital hunter that had already traced the outline of the entire battlefield long before the moment of contact. And if you look at the exchange the way a Wall Street analyst would, the numbers are unforgiving. Iran spent years developing the capability, poured enormous resources into it, and invested major political prestige just to damage a limited number of sensitive systems on older EC-130 Compass call aircraft at Prince Sultan. They made their bet against legacy equipment. The U.S. response came from an entirely different tier. The EA-37B, the RC-135V/W, and the F-35C. That is not just a favorable return. It is an overwhelming strategic payoff. The United States did more than absorb the move. It turned the Iranian setup into a real-world proving ground, showing in real time that its newer systems operate on a level the IRGC is still struggling to reach. For Iran, this was supposed to be a defining moment, the kind of tactical success that would be remembered for years. For the United States, it was simply another short operational window. A brief but decisive reminder of what happens when advanced capability meets overconfidence. The Strait of Hormuz remains open. The oil keeps moving. And what remains of the IRGC's carefully prepared plan is a harsh lesson in technological reality. Which element do you think made the biggest difference in this confrontation? The RC-135's silent mapping, the EA-37B's raw burn-through power, or the F-35C's ghost-like arrival? Share your take in the comments. And if you appreciate deep breakdowns of high-stakes military technology and strategy, support by liking the video and subscribing. We do more than follow events. We break down the moments that define modern power.